Hello ladies and gentlemen, we just got the Ashveil Drip market, well, 15 minutes ago, but whatever. And a lot of people have been waiting for this. We finally got it. Of course, tomorrow we'll be able to see definitively whether or not we'll be getting the drip for Blade as well. However, if you believe Anon leaks, this should be the only character throughout the entirety of the next patch after 4.0. Right. On top of this, HSR already announced that 4.1 would be shortened by 2 weeks to be a total of a month, which is pretty short. I think it would make even more sense and add more, credit towards what Anon Leak said of this being the only limited character on the patch, because there really is no better other time to do it than a super fast patch. Right. So, with that being said, let's get into this hoopla over here. Aha Instant Ashveil. I'm Ashveil, ace detective of the Ashen Detective Agency. Here's my card. I take on all kinds of commissions, such as looking for lost pets, pretending to be a parent in parent-teacher nights, capturing interstellar wanted criminals, or tracing the whereabouts of an Eon. So, what can I do for you? Operates on a whim, hardcore deduction, relies purely on intuition, yet repeatedly cracks strange cases with a monkey for an assistant. Retirement is the only goal. As for the detective sleeping in the fridge, he's just waiting for a willing bite. Under the phantasm moon, the vile beast howls. How will his game of hounding pursuit draw to a close? Aha! A special shout out to Ashveil for winning #1 Legendary Reaper Constitution, and first place for There's Definitely Something Wrong with the Detective I Hired. Right? Kind of funny at the end there. So, Ashveil, as we can see, is Lightning Hunt. Now, if you guys have been watching me for a while, my guess for this guy was that he'd be the Boot Hill and Himiko SP would be the Firefly. Right? I thought he'd be the first break DPS from 4.x to actually, really take advantage of Dahlia and be stronger than Firefly, right? However, there's something that bothers me, because in Hoyo, the little things matter, right? If you go over here, it says he has a monkey for an assistant, okay? Now, why does this matter? It matters because he's a hunt character, and it also matters because his element isn't the most synergistic with break, right? So this leads me to believe this is actually going to be a follow-up unit, right? I think that's what's being hinted at here. This will likely be a follow-up DPS, our first one in over a year, right? Because Cypher was just a sub DPS, which would be pretty cool. I mean, a lot of the people who like more fun and interactive characters and, just higher tier gameplay, usually it's the hung characters you look at, right? They usually get shafted the most, right? Archer's a special exception. In terms of like team shilling and longevity, since they have a fixed amount of damage, right? They aren't like a blast character, they aren't an AoE character, they don't have like overpowered damage like bounce characters, and it can be very situational. Being Hunt usually means your ceiling is capped right off of the beta unless you receive future teammates. It's very easy to see the max ceiling of damage for a Hunt character, right? So what a lot of people are going to be looking for in Ashveil, since they're probably not going to sell this guy all that many best in slots, if at all, is high ceiling gameplay that can allow him to at least semi compete with the rest of the other DPSs releasing. I'd say a good example of this is probably Bonway from ZZZ, right? A lot of people say he's really mid if you play him averagely, which is probably true. However, Bonway had a pretty high skill ceiling. People learned how to play him correctly, and then he was able to perform much better. Still not as good as like the main push DPSs, however, good enough in a lot of people's eyes. That's what I expect Ashveil to be, right? Do not expect this character to be like an actual good pull throughout this entire version at all. In fact, if I had to guess, he's probably going to be the weakest DPS in this entire version, right? However, you know, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they even compensate it with Eidolons, right? Like the fact that this guy isn't going to be that popular, he might not get the best of teammates. Maybe they give him the Phaedon Eidolon treatment. Genuinely, who knows? Hopefully they do. That would be absolutely amazing for this guy and for the fans. So yeah, that's what I think. I think he's probably going to be a follow-up DPS, which very interesting. Keep in mind, beta is very soon, right? I don't believe I made a video on this. I only made a community post on it. So for those who didn't see that, the beta for Asheville should be in about 3 days. Yeah, it is that soon, 2 or 3 days. And this is obvious. It's because they are shortening 4.1's patch to 4 weeks. So the beta is starting earlier, especially since in the first place, we've added an extra 2 weeks towards 3.8, right, because of the delay. So yeah, get ready for that. In a few days, we are going to have Asheville's beta, and I'm probably going to make a video either today or tomorrow giving my thoughts on the future, right? So little sneak peek into the topic of the next video. It's going to be about how chaotic the 4.2 beta I think will be. Hope you all have a great day. Hope you have a great night. Peace out.